Hi everybody, I'm Sue and welcome to Blue Heron Hill. Here I am sitting at the edge of my one of my sweet potato patches. I have this big one here. Is actually all of this is coming out of one grow bag, and this grow bag was an adaptation of mine. I used a feed bag. I used a lot of feed bags this past summer for a lot of my vegetables to grow in, and this one did particularly well, and I'm very curious to see what I get out of it. I have another one right here. This basket right here is smaller, not quite as lush and as prolific as the other one, but I am so dying to dig into these feed bags and see what kind of harvest I can get. Now I planted these they haven't been in the ground as long as my other ones. All of my sweet potatoes this year are being grown in grow bags. I have 5 on the other side of my 4 or 5 raised beds here, and those are 35-gallon grow bags, so they have plenty of room. These two actually had 1 or 2 slips planted in each one of them. Now sweet potatoes can be harvested anywhere from 90 to about 120 days. The ones on the front side of my raised beds were planted in early May. I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't going to have them get into the frost zones or anything like that. So they've been planted at the end of May, so they've had at least 4 months of good growing period, but I think they've probably reached their limit. I don't really see any dieback. I'm in zone 6A. Our first frost date should have been, I should say, around October 4th, first week of October. We are already October 12th, so hooray, keep that season going. Anyway, so it's late this year, which makes any gardener very happy to have a later frost date than what's typically predicted for their growing zone. I'm dying to do another sweet potato video. I already did one where I actually, out of this bed here, I pulled sweet potatoes. If you saw that that video, I'll post it up here. It was on sweet potatoes that I had planted in that bed, about 5 slips, and actually comes with a little added bonus of some furry little creatures that were living in that box. So take a look at that. Kind of funny, entertaining. Anyway, so sweet potato harvest number 2. So let's get to it. All right, I put a tarp down because I'm just going to take this whole bag and just dump it out. But first of all, I'm going to clip off the foliage. There's a few dying spots here, which kind of indicates that it is getting to be past its prime. You don't want it to go into the season where it's going to frost and kill your vines, but just before frost time, which I guess is probably this time. I'm thinking there's not a whole lot of foliage that's going to have a whole lot of sweet potatoes in here, but we'll see what we get. Here is my tag. It says sweet potatoes. Actually, it's a pumpkin. Sweet potato, pumpkin is the variety, so we have potatoes. But let's see what we have. Have a lot lot of roots growing out of the bag. I may end up just having to cut this bag. Lots of roots, very fibrous. I think it's the roots coming out of the bottom that's holding them into this bag. You can see roots popping out of the holes that I slit for drainage in here. My apologies. Have to stop the video right here. I lost the footage of the display of the harvest from this grow bag. It turns out to be pretty much just like the second one. We'll go on to the second one right now, and at the end of the video you're going to see the final totals. So let's get on with it. Here's the next one. I think if we cut down this foliage first, and you can see it's really quite lush and thick, and some of these vines are already growing into the ground, but if we cut them back we'll be able to get into here a little bit better. And then I think with this one I'm going to cut the bag open and spill the contents out rather than trying to shake it out like I did with the last one. So let's do that. There we go, a little bit more manageable. Here's another friendly little creature. Put him right back. Means it's a very healthy ecosystem. So, let's go dump out this bag. I will split the bag open. Definitely these bags are not good for more than one serving. Okay, I'm not really seeing a whole lot yet. We may have another crop just like the other bag. But experimentation in the garden is always good. You have to see what works for you so you know what you can do the next year. Very dense roots. I'm seeing a number of them down here at the bottom. Woo! That looks pretty. I like that. Lots more little ones, but I sort of expected that after the last one. Ah, they look like new potatoes. Now this variety is a Japanese sweet potato because it's white on the inside. They're very good. The skins are very soft. You can eat them whole, skins and all. Fairly large one. All right. Oh dear. Looks as though we've had some damage. These are probably from the voles that lived in the raised bed right next door. Well, they ate well. That was a big one. They obviously like the starchiness of the larger tubers. Whew. They just ate that down into the shell and all. Well, it certainly did have a very healthy root system, and it wanted to produce a whole lot. So it liked the soil that it was in, but it just didn't like the space. I couldn't give it enough space to grow into a healthy big tuber like this one would have been. If the moles or the bugs, whatever it was, the voles, I guess, ate up this one. So the harvest wasn't as much as I expected. I had hoped to see a couple large tubers like this size instead of these small ones, but it's still food and it's still good in your garden. And next year, feed bags for the sweet potatoes are out. And I will perhaps be growing them in ground next year, but we'll see. And let me get these weighed, and we'll see which one gave me the most. The one with the lesser foliage, or the one with the foliage that was massive. Some of these vines are actually rooted fairly deep into the ground around where the basket was planted. So we'll see, Matt. You know, if you give them long enough, they will root there and they will produce sweet potatoes right there in the ground. So let's get these weighed and we'll see what the final result is. I wanted to show you, as I was pulling up the vines, and here are sweet potatoes that are growing right into the soil where the vines had rooted. So add a couple more to the pile. Little fingerlings. And here are more that have rooted off the vine. You can see at the nodule here where there is a slip growing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I've even dug up a couple more. Here's the harvest. Okay, from the first bag that had the smallest amount of foliage, this is 3.5 pounds. From the other one that had the massive amount of foliage, there's a close to 4.25, I think, pounds. Plus, this was the added sweet potatoes that were growing in the ground outside of my grow bag. So that is a score. That is a bonus mouse, as we say in our family. So all in all, 2 bags over 7.5 pounds of sweet potatoes. I will take that as a win. I appreciate you joining me for this sweet potato harvest number 2 of 2021. So as you see in the background, I have more sweet potatoes to harvest. They will be coming along, I think, within the week. So look for that video. If you haven't already subscribed, give me a thumbs up and click that bell for the notification when the next sweet potato video comes out. So until the next time we can go digging in the dirt, happy gardening. Bye, y'all.